Has your cat ever followed you into the bathroom? Of course they have. You could have been sitting in the same room as them for 2 hours with barely a glance, and the moment you get up and head down the hall, you've acquired an escort between your feet. And it's funny, and everybody jokes about it, and almost nobody asks why. But there is a why, and it's a considerably better answer than cats are weird. 6 layers of answer actually, and they stack on top of each other. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what your cat is telling you every time they follow you in there. Hi everyone, I'm Leo Bennett, your neighborhood cat guy. And I'll say up front that the last one is the one that changes how you look at the whole thing, because it explains why the bathroom specifically out of every room in the house. So let's start with the reason underneath all the others. Number 1, it's the one moment in your day when you're completely predictable. Cats need patterns more than most people realize. Predictability is how a small animal establishes that a place is safe, and your cat spends a great deal of time building a working model of you. What you do, when you do it, and what happens next. The trouble is that most of what you do is genuinely difficult to predict. You cross the living room for 6 different reasons. You open a cupboard and something might come out of it. You stand up and go somewhere and there's no telling where. The bathroom is different. Same trip, same route, same door, same pause, same length of time, several times a day, for years. Small thing before we carry on. This is one chapter of a much bigger conversation about what your cat is trying to tell you. And I've gathered all of it into a book called The Happy Cat Manual over at leobennettsecrets.com. Go take a look if you want more happy years with your cat. That's all. There's no other moment in your entire day that's that reliable. Not meal times, because those shift. Not bedtime, because that shifts too. Not your arrival home, which varies by an hour either way. This one doesn't. And here's why that matters to a cat. Predictability isn't just convenient for them, it's the raw material of safety. A cat who can predict what happens next isn't spending energy on vigilance, and a cat who isn't being vigilant is a cat who can relax. So your bathroom trip is a window. It's the one stretch where your cat knows exactly what you're doing, exactly where you'll be, and exactly how long you'll be still for. They're not being clingy. They're using the most reliable appointment in their day. And it's worth appreciating how much observation went into that. Nobody told your cat what a bathroom is or what happens in one. They worked the whole pattern out by watching you, over months, and filed it as dependable. That's a genuine piece of research on their part. And here's a small practical thing worth taking from that. If you've got a nervous or under-socialized cat, this is genuinely useful information. Your predictable moments are where the relationship gets built, not the moments where you go looking for them, the moments where they already know what you're doing. Sit down at the same time each evening in the same chair, and let that be the thing they can rely on. You'll get further with that than with any amount of pursuing them around the house. Cats don't come to people who chase them. They come to people who are reliably in the same place, doing the same thing. Number 2, it switches on their guarding instinct. Now, cats don't look much like protectors. They're small, they sleep 16 hours a day, and they'd struggle to see off anything larger than a moth. But they monitor the people they live with far more than they let on. And consider what you look like from a cat's point of view when you're in that room. You're sitting still, you're distracted. The door is partly closed, so the exits are restricted. The sound is different in there. Hard surfaces, less carry, harder to hear what's happening elsewhere in the house. To a cat, that reads as one thing. This human is currently unable to defend themselves properly. So they come in. And I want to be careful not to over-romanticize this, because your cat is not going to fight anything off on your behalf. What they're doing is watching, and that's genuinely what a colony cat does for another cat they're bonded with. Someone stays alert while someone else is occupied. And watch what they actually do once they're there, because it's rarely random. A lot of cats will sit facing the door, or facing the hallway, or they'll position themselves between you and the exit. Not blocking it, but covering it. Some will sit and calmly study a wall or a corner while you're in there, which looks absurd until you understand they're monitoring the space. That's not a cat being nosy, that's a cat taking a post. And if you want to test whether that's really what's happening, watch where they're looking rather than where they're sitting. A cat who's in there for company looks at you. A cat who's on duty looks at the doorway. Some do both, alternating, which is quite something to notice once you know to look for it. And here's the thing to do with that. Don't shoo them out for it. I know it's a small room, and I know they're in the way. But that's an animal who has decided your temporary vulnerability is their business, and there's no version of that which isn't a compliment. Number 3. It's territory bonding, and it looks exactly like clinginess. You walk in, and before you've turned around, your cat is weaving figure 8s around your ankles, pressing their cheek against the door frame and rubbing along the side of the bath. Everyone laughs at this. Almost nobody reads it correctly. What's happening is scent work. Cats have scent glands in their cheeks, their chin, their forehead, the base of the tail, and their paws, and every one of those rubs is depositing a chemical marker. To another cat, that's information, and what it says is, "This belongs to my group." Now think about what a bathroom is, sensorily, from a cat's perspective. It's one of the most information-dense rooms in the house. Strong smells, warm, damp air, cool tiles, hard surfaces that change how sound behaves, and above all, your scent, concentrated far more heavily than anywhere else in the building. It's the room that smells the most like you. So when your cat comes in and rubs everything within reach, they're mixing their scent into yours in the place where yours is strongest. They're not claiming you, they're blending. The message is, this space smells like us, and that means it's safe. And cats who live together and genuinely get along do exactly this with each other. They rub, they groom, they sleep in contact, and over time they develop a shared communal scent that marks out who belongs to the group. When your cat rubs on you and on the room you're in, you've been enrolled in that. And this is why it isn't dependence, which is the thing people get wrong. Dependence would be a cat who can't cope without you. This is a cat performing a maintenance ritual on a shared territory. It's the same thing they do with another cat they were bonded to. If you want the clearest evidence of the difference, look at what happens when you leave. A dependent cat falls apart. A bonded cat gets on with their day and does the whole thing again tomorrow. There's also a practical footnote here, which is that this is why some cats become obsessed with a bath or shower that's just been used. Warm, damp, and saturated with your scent is close to irresistible. If yours sits in an empty bath after you've got out, that's the same instinct with better ventilation. Number 4, you give them your best reactions in there, and you don't notice you're doing it. There's a persistent idea that cats don't care much about attention. It's wrong, and the bathroom is one of the clearest places to see it. Think about what your attention is normally like. You're doing something, you're holding something, you're halfway to somewhere else, or you're looking at a screen, or you're talking to someone. Your cat gets a fragment. In the bathroom, you're still. You're not carrying anything. You're not going anywhere for a few minutes. And when your cat appears, something specific happens. You look down, you probably laugh, you say something to them in that particular voice you don't use for anyone else in your life. Maybe it's you again, maybe it's their name in 3 syllables it doesn't actually have. That is completely undivided, uninterrupted, entirely warm attention. And in most households, it is a genuinely rare commodity. You may not think of it as attention at all because you're not doing anything, but that's precisely what makes it good. Attention with nothing else attached to it. And cats are extremely good at noticing which of their behaviors produce good outcomes. That's not cynical, it's how any animal learns. A behavior that reliably gets a warm reaction is a behavior that gets repeated. So part of what's happening is straightforward. They followed you in there once, something nice happened, and they've been doing it ever since. Cats are not sentimental about their routines. They keep the ones that pay. Which is worth knowing because it also tells you something about the rest of your day. If your cat is following you around a lot generally and getting insistent about it, that's very often a cat telling you the fragments aren't enough. The fix isn't more bathroom company. It's a proper block of attention elsewhere. 15 minutes with a wand toy or a real session on the sofa, so that they're not having to ambush you in a small room to get a full conversation. Number 5, they're checking on you. If you've ever noticed that your cat follows you more closely on your worst days, you're not imagining it. Cats read emotional signals in people far better than their reputation suggests. Research has found they attend to facial expression, to tone of voice, to posture, and they adjust their own behavior based on what they pick up. And they're also reading scent. Stress produces genuine, detectable changes in how a person smells. Now think about the bathroom as a place to do that reading. It's quiet. There's no background noise competing. Nobody else is in there. You're not moving. You're not talking to anyone, and you're not performing for anyone either, which matters more than you'd think. Whatever you actually feel is what's showing. It's the single, cleanest signal they'll get from you all day. So a cat who comes in and sits closer than usual, or stares at you a beat longer, or stays unusually still rather than doing their normal circuit, may well be taking a reading. And here's what I think is the most striking part. When a cat detects that something's off in you, watch which direction they move. An animal with no strong attachment moves away from an unpredictable human, because unpredictable is a reason to keep your distance. Your cat comes toward it. That's not clinginess, that's a decision, and it's one they make with incomplete information, because nobody has explained to them what's wrong. They've simply registered that something in you has changed and concluded that being nearby is the right response. So the small thing to do with this one is simple. When it happens, let it happen. Don't send them out because you're having a hard day. That's precisely when the company was offered on purpose. And number 6, the one I said explains the whole thing. Why the bathroom specifically? Out of every room in your house, why that one? Because of the door. Your bathroom is very likely the only room in the entire building where you routinely and deliberately shut your cat out. And here's how that lands on their side, which is completely different from how it lands on yours. To you, a closed door is privacy. It's ordinary. It's not even a decision. It's just what you do. To your cat, this house is their territory, not shared, theirs, with you as a highly valued resident. Territory security is the single thing a cat's brain is most occupied with, and a door closing is a piece of their own territory being sealed off with no explanation by the person they trust most. So the bathroom becomes the one part of the map they can't confirm. Everywhere else they can walk in and check whenever they like. Not there. Which is exactly why they're through that gap the second it opens. It isn't entirely about you. It's about a room they can't audit, and a cat who can't audit a room keeps thinking about it. This is also, incidentally, why the bathroom stays interesting year after year. Every other room in your house got investigated once and filed. This one keeps getting sealed and reopened, which means it never quite gets finished. And this is also why the paw comes under the door, why the meowing starts, why some cats will sit outside and wait the entire time rather than going off and doing something else. Now, 3 things worth knowing about that. First, if you can leave the door ajar, do. It costs you very little and it removes the problem entirely. Most of the drama around bathroom doors is created by the door. Second, don't shout through it. A cat who's anxious about a sealed room, being shouted at from inside that room, learns only that the room now contains an angry person. That's worse than where you started. Third, and this one matters, there's a difference between mild insistence and genuine distress. A cat who scratches a bit, comments about it, and then settles down to wait is being nosy. A cat who becomes frantic, persistent yowling, destructive scratching at the frame, real panic, and the same thing happening whenever you're out of sight anywhere, is a different picture. That's closer to separation-related anxiety, and it's worth a conversation with your vet because it's genuinely treatable and it's miserable for a cat to live with. And the same applies to the bedroom, incidentally. If you shut your cat out of your bedroom at night, understand that from their side, you haven't set a boundary. You've closed the most scent-saturated, most important room in their territory. Plenty of cats manage that fine. Some really don't, and that's where a lot of nighttime yowling comes from. So let me pull the whole thing together, because these 6 aren't separate. They stack. Your bathroom trip is the most predictable thing you do, and predictability is where a cat's sense of safety comes from. That safety opens a window where you're easy to approach. Once they're in there, you're still and distracted, which switches on the instinct to keep an eye on you. While they're keeping an eye on you, they mix their scent into the room that smells the most like you, which is bonding rather than possession. You reward all of it with the warmest, most undivided attention you give anybody all day. In that quiet room, they get the clearest possible read on how you're actually doing. And underneath all of it is the one door in your house that sometimes closes on them, which is the thing they can never quite stop wondering about. So the next time your cat trails in behind you and settles on the bath mat like they own the place, understand what you're looking at. It isn't random, it isn't weird, and it certainly isn't your cat being needy. It's an animal who has identified the most reliable moment in their entire day, decided to spend it with you, taken up a position facing the door while they're at it, and left a bit of their own scent on your towels on the way in. That's a lot of meaning packed into the least dignified 2 minutes of your afternoon. And here's the part I'd like you to sit with. Almost everything cats do that we describe as odd turns out to be like this. Not random at all, just built on a set of priorities that don't match ours. We look at a cat following someone into a bathroom and see comedy. They're doing territory security, scent maintenance, and a welfare check all at once, in a room they've been thinking about since the last time the door shut. So tell me in the comments, what does your cat do when the bathroom door closes? Do they scratch, wait patiently, yowl like something terrible is happening, or sit outside in complete silence like a small, furry security guard? I want to know how many of you have simply given up on privacy entirely, because I suspect it's most of you. Hit like, subscribe, and send this to somebody who hasn't closed a bathroom door in years. I'm Leo Bennett, and tomorrow, try leaving it open a crack.